In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a Celtic knot braided walking stick. In terms of tools, you're going to need a chisel, a carving knife, and you're going to also need a pen and some electrical tape or other coloured tape. And I also use a Dremel, and if you're going to use a Dremel, you're going to need some safety goggles.
Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to trace our pattern. So I'm doing a sort of a braid around here. So what I've done is I've got myself here some electrical tape. It doesn't matter what colour you use. You could use any kind of tape. Clear tape's probably not great, but anything, even like masking tape would be better. So what I did first was I measured what the width of the tape is. So I just got my tape here and I measured this, and it's about 16 millimeters. So, and the reason that's important is we'll start somewhere here. One of the other things I did too was to get 40, because you want to start off, this all got to go around in 45-degree angles. So one way to do it is put a bit of tape there and mark a line, and then mark a line here and on the other side of the tape. So I'll just move that right across actually. Right. So then if I start at the, you can see that little corner there, just put a piece there, and then when it sort of comes up to intersect where these two lines would meet, that would mean it's 45-degree angle. Right, so that's my 45, and I'm just going to stick that there for a moment. Now when I wrap this around, so I've got it consistently 45 degrees, the way I've sort of gone about this, again, is I've worked out a little formula there. That's, so the distance between the gap will have to be, the spacing as it goes around 45 degree, needs to be the width of your tape times 3.5. So mine was 16 millimeters wide, so 16 millimeters times 3.5 is 56 millimeters. So I can do that from any point. I can do that from here. So I'm just going to measure up there 56 millimeters, and I'm going to mark a point. You can see that. Just marked a little point right there. So now what I'm going to do, I've got my tape. Now hold my thumb there, pull some tape out. Now I want it to be sort of loose as I wrap around, so I can make sure I get the 45. So I hold my thumb back on there, and now I've sort of got it lined up with that dot, and I think that was the right one. I've got two dots there actually. I'll just double check. Yep, that's the right one. So yeah, as I said, let that sort of loose, and then when you've got it on the line, then you can pull it sort of taut, okay, around. Okay, and then what I'll do is, lost my pen, oh, there it is. Now, I want to have an imaginary straight line up there, so I'm lining up with these dots. So I want to come up another 56 millimeters. So from the other dot, there we go. Make another line there. You can see that. So I'll hold my thumb again, a little bit of tape go loose, and line it up so it intersects. So you can see where that dot is. You can see that dot there, and then I can pull it taut. Okay. It depends on how far up I want to go. At this stage, I think I'll probably stop about there somewhere where I am. So I just break the tape off. And then what I'll do is, let's get a bit of tape and just wrap it around. So I'll line it up with that corner there. You see that? And just wrap that. I'll turn the pole. Alright. So we got that one there. So I have to do some more in betweens. So I could measure this, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my eyesight here to get that roughly in the middle. So I'll come back to about here somewhere. It's going to be somewhere between these two here. So looks about right. And then just follow it up, making sure you've got equal spacing here and here. But as this is going to be, something that's not made on a machine but by hand, it's kind of, I kind of like the fact that it's a little inaccurate sometimes. So it gives that handmade feel. And that there seems to go up in a funny direction, but anyway. Right, let's tear that off. Okay. Alright, so the next thing is to go the other direction. And just going to move this tape over a bit, sort of moved a little bit. Now, this could take a bit of practice, or you can measure this out. Because now we've got to work out another 45, so it needs to be pretty much 45 as we're going around. And so you can either do it by eyesight or do what I did before. I'll show you what I did before, just with the pen, and depends on where I want to start this though, I guess. I'll start from that point. Actually, I could probably just follow that line up from the tape there. Okay. But I'm still going to measure out the 56 millimeters. So it is to that point still, so I've got that there. There should be another one there. Yep, so the points are still there, you can still see them. So a little bit out, so let it loose. Don't pull it taut. What we want to do is measure up with that line. A good way of checking too as you're going along is you'll start to see where these intersect. That point there and that point there should look roughly in line with each other. One's I think a little bit out, but I'm okay with it. It's not. Okay. So now we wrap it around again to get to the other point. Where was it? Over here. So. Okay. So now we've got this point, this point, this point, like where they're intersecting, they should line up. Okay. And the same with wherever it intersects, so that point there, they're intersecting. And it's going to go 56 mil again. Where's my pen? I seem to have lost my pen. Okay. So Alright, so that's that termination point there is where I want to go. So one up there. That should be about right. Looks a bit off there. Really should find that pen. It would be easier. I don't know what I've done with it. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I want to get that accurate. Okay. It's about here somewhere. It's actually slightly behind that tape, but anyway. Alright. So I'm just going to go back around just to check that these points here seem to be in alignment, which they do there. Here, yep, they appear to be in alignment. That point there. Here we go, this one's a little off here. Okay, how bad is it? I don't know. So it's this last one I think that's gone a little off. So I'm going to come back a bit on that one because I want to, so it should come back a bit. Okay, so that goes through that point. Trying to line up my eyesight as I go along. Okay, well, it's better than what it was. A little bit off still. This one here seems to have stretched a bit, the tape there, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of tape. Scrap here I've got. Put that there. And you can see how it's sort of bent there, but oh, come back. You can't see that in the camera. Alright, so it's sort of, yeah, it's, you can see it sort of pulled and sort of stretched a bit. So I'm just going to straighten that up. Alright, there we go. Very good. Now I've got some scraps here, tape, that I can probably use. I think we're only going to do one more. So going back to similar to what we did before. Start here, and I want to get a consistent thing from the distance from the other piece of tape, and sort of a little bit off. Like I said, I mean, look, you could measure this all out if you wanted to, by marking all the lines exactly. If you want to be absolutely 100% accurate, you just draw a whole bunch of dots and then just trace them around. You have quite enough tape to go around there then. tape here. Yeah, where do we go? Here. Alright, so I got that. So that's what we have now. And you can see, I mean, the diamonds, they should be exact, and mine aren't exact. They're a little out on some of them. But look, as I said, I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, so what we want to do now is find that pen that I keep losing. Alright. And that one's come off. I'll go back again. Alright. As soon as that one's falling off, we'll start there. So all I'm going to do is going to trace, or just draw, not trace really, just draw a line against the edges. I'm going to put a little X. And all I do is I just go around and do that on all of them. Because in a way then, what we've basically done is we've used the tape as a way to sort of measure out where the lines are going to go, because we've still got to draw the lines in a little bit after we've done this. Thing is, to take your time. I mean, I think making anything, you should just take your time. Doesn't matter how long it takes. It's the point of it's not to get the finished product at the end. It's to enjoy the whole process. So yeah, so relax. And as you can probably hear in the background, I've got a water feature that I made. Yeah, just running, little pumps, nice sort of gentle water trickling sort of sound. There is a lake, well not a lake, well there is a lake, but it's a river that I sometimes go down to just near my home, and it's got a natural sort of cascading sort of water. Just very, very gentle though. It's not like a waterfall exactly. Just a gentle stream, and that's very relaxing to just sit there and just listen. So I find it's very, very good to have silence. Often we put on radio to listen to, or music, or television, or all sorts of things to listen to distract ourselves from ourselves, and nothing wrong with any of those things. But and I mean, I listen to different things, but also like a lot of silence as well. And it'd be amazing what comes to you in your silence. All sorts of ideas or realizations about yourself, or all sorts of things. Oh, this one's come off a bit. I'll just take that around. Hopefully it's a little bit off there. All right. Yeah, so I've been using this walking stick for a bit. I originally bought a cane, and that was no good, just because I got a bad knee. But I ended up just grabbing a piece of dowel. Actually, this is a piece of Tasmanian oak, Australian oak, and I seem to have missing some bits there. I have to put some bits on there. Yeah, so it's generally people use this for curtain rods and things like that. But I thought, oh, this is okay. This is strong, and it's suitable for what I want to do, use it for. And because I've taken it out, just going for walking around some of the steep hills and around here, and yeah, it really helps an awful lot, especially when you've got a bad knee, because you can put all your weight on it as you're walking around. So that'll go. I think that's quite right. Okay, so that's that last bit. So drawing the diamond. Alright, so now what we're going to do is actually take all the tape off. So you can reuse the tape if you can. Electrical tape, like I'm using, it's pretty low tack, so it's sort of hard to use again and again and again on things. You can use it a couple of times, but then it just doesn't hold stickiness very well. And the only reason I use electrical tape is because the only thing I had on hand that was well, I got sellotape or sticky tape, whatever. But yeah, as I said, it's clear, so it's not as great. And I have had masking tape before in the past, but I don't know what it is. Every time I get masking tape, it must be crap because it it just tears on the roll constantly. So I don't buy it anymore. So I don't know if it's just crappy masking tape or what, but I don't have much luck with it. So alright, so what I'm going to do here as well, since I've got that little black collar thing here, so I'm going to draw a line around. Alright, so I've got that, and on the edge, this tape, wherever it is, here it is. Alright, so let's have a close up look. So we've just got little diamonds, and I'll put little crosses in them so I know I'm going to cut them out. Now comes the bit where we're drawing the pattern. So the trick to the pattern is, okay, so we'll draw one line here. Basically we're going to be drawing sort of rectangles in a way. Alright, and you can see where I just drew that line. Okay, just draw a line between the point of the X there and the point of the X there. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line that comes down between those ones, and then also between those points, and then between these ones. And then we'll just do the same thing but the other direction. So from here to here, doesn't really matter where you start. Basically, yeah, you're just drawing a rectangle between the points of the crosses or the diamonds. So I don't know if you can sort of see what I've done there. So we've got one sort of rectangle between the points going that way, and as we turn it around, we've got one then going the other direction. And you just repeat that over and over again. So if we go back to the first rectangle I drew, so then we're going to this point 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. So we're going to join them up, and this will give you your pattern. So, alright. So we can do it over here. So I was wondering about whether I just do this as on one sort of face of the, not wrapping all the way around as a continuous thing. But I thought, no, I think that'll look quite good. And I have seen people do this sort of thing before. So again, I've made some mistakes tracing things on before, which is a bit frustrating, but it's part of the learning process, I suppose, making mistakes. Okay, so alright, go this way. Okay, so and then we'll go this one down here. Again, just take your time so you don't make a mistake. You don't want too many lines. You don't make mistakes going over each other, because especially if you're using pencil or pen, it can be a bit hard to get it off wood sometimes without sanding it. So you should get the hang of it though as you go along. There the pattern goes. Sort of almost join the dots in a way. Yeah, one of my ideas I'd like to do in the future is, if I had some land, I'd like to build a very humble sort of structure. Just, well, that's mainly for the enjoyment of building something, but I'd like to have something where, you know, I could do workshops of various things with people to you know, teach them how to do things, because there's, you know, I think there's a lot of enjoyment in doing things yourself. And some people never do anything themselves ever, and I mean, you know, it might be just the way they are, don't have any interest, but I think there's something probably for everyone out there, just a, you know, a hobby of some kind that to do with making something, creating something. It's very satisfying. There's a an old Chinese word or saying, wu wei, which is I think come from the Taoist philosophy, which means non-action or non-doing. And a lot of people think that means do nothing in life, but it's not what it means. It means that, in a way, that you become so consumed in what you're doing that you're almost doing nothing, because you just become almost, you know, one with it in a sense. And it's, I find that a lot with a lot of things, especially with woodwork. I love working with wood. Okay, I think we've got that around. Just going to check that all around, and it looks like the pattern's correct. Okay. So the next step is to make what are called stop cuts across all the lines. And what a stop cut is basically an incision into the wood, and you can do that with a knife or a chisel, or you know, a Dremel or a rotary tool of some kind. So you make a deep cut, because then when you put your chisel in, because what we're going to do is we're going to, this pattern sort of is over and under like a you know, braid going over and under. So then I'll cut out with a chisel going back towards, say, under this one, so it looks like it's going under, and then that stop cut will stop when I put the chisel there. It'll stop it, keep going through the wood. So that's what they're for when you're doing any sort of carving. So we'll do that next, and we'll see how we go. I haven't decided yet though whether I'm going to use a knife or a chisel or the Dremel. I'm actually thinking you might use the Dremel, only because it's a round surface, and putting a lot of pressure on anything, especially when it's round and turning, with a sharp instrument, can be, you know, you can potentially cut yourself pretty badly if you slip. So the rotary tool makes that a little easier. So yep, that's the next step.